Hi everyone, Raptor here. So today I'm going to be doing kind of like a mini, I don't know, episode, series maybe, whatever you want to call it. But just a quick sort of trick of the day, and it's going to involve the hard and into of the deep hours. Now, if anyone's played Pauper before, this is a pretty prolific card in the format. I think, depending on the type of player you are, you either love it or hate it. But whatever the case is, it's a very powerful card, and I think knowing how to play with it and against it is pretty important if you want to become a better Pauper player, because it's definitely a pretty common card in the format. So, for those who don't know how the card works, it's a 4-mana 2/2 that says when it deals combat damage to a player, you can draw a card. On the surface, that seems pretty innocent, but it also has this ability, ninjutsu, and the ninjutsu is what makes it really, really powerful. So, how it works is you can pay 1 generic and 1 blue mana to return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. So, if I attack with, say, a Spell Stunner, right, and my opponent is not able to block it, before we go to damage, I'll say, before damage, I'm going to return Spell Stunner to my hand with Ninja, right? So after blockers are declared, but before damage, I can Ninjutsu. And then, once Ninja deals damage to my opponent, I can draw a card. But not only have I drawn a card, but I've also returned Spell Stunner to my hand. So then I can replay it later in the game and counter another spell. And that's pretty powerful because if, not only did I draw a card off Ninja, but I essentially, drew another card which was Spell Stunner Sprite. So there's a lot of value with that, and it also works with cards like Alter Bolas, right? Then you can replay Alter and try and find, a counter spell or a removal spell or a cantrip or whatever, so you can get more value that way. And the best part is that Ninja stays in play for, long periods of time. You're going to be drawing a card every turn, and that will allow for you to snowball and basically grind out your opponent because you're drawing an extra card every turn. Not to mention you're just dealing damage to them and, getting ahead on resources. So that's a pretty powerful card. And if, you've played with Pauper before, this is not, a particularly new idea. I think most players are familiar with sort of the power that Ninja can do. So, with that being said, there is a pretty unique trick that does not come up very often, but I think it's very important because it can definitely get you out of difficult situations, and if you're not aware of it, I think it's important to be aware of the particular trick. I don't quite remember who taught me this. I believe I was playing against an opponent on Magic Online, and I saw them do it, and I was just mesmerized because it was so cool, and it's a really powerful trick. And I believe later on, after I knew about it, other people figured it out as well. I believe Hunter Trees wrote a Reddit post about it after the fact as well, and it was actually a pretty good post, and it really helped to illustrate the power of it. But if you don't know what the trick is, I'm not going to spoil it, I'll kind of show it in action. I should probably note this isn't like unique to me, but I've seen it come up, and I've used it before, and I don't think many people know about it, or at least I hope more people know about it, so, that's what I'm trying to do with this series. So let's look at the board state, right? My opponent is on Black-White Pestilence. They have cards like Pristine Talisman in play to gain life. They have, some bounce lands, a swamp or two, some Scoured Barrens in play. Right, so that's what the board state looks like. And they're at 20 life, and I'm at 10 life. They also have the card Pestilence in play. I'm going to pull this up on Magic Online. So, Pestilence is a 4-mana enchantment that says at the beginning of the end step, if no creatures on the battlefield, you have to sacrifice it, and you can pay 1 black mana to have it deal 1 damage to each creature and each player. So, in this particular setup here, my opponent has an active Pestilence. They have 7 black mana at their disposal, and I have 2 Alter Bolas in play. I have 7 mana, and I have a Ninja, a spread, and a spell center in play. Also, my top card is a counter spell. For the sake of discussion, we'll pretend that my opponent has nothing in hand, just to make life a little bit easier. Now, with all this information, right, the question is, how can you play to live for another turn? Now, if we do nothing here, right, let's just say I do absolutely nothing, what's going to happen? Well, what will happen is my opponent will go to the end step, right, and I should note this sets at the beginning of the end step, right, so we're at the beginning of the end step, it sees 2 creatures, we're fine, it's not going to disappear. Then, what they'll do is they'll activate this for 7, right, they'll deal 7 to us, 7 to them, we'll lose both of our altars, and then they'll have their turn, right? It doesn't matter what they draw, because they can just activate this for 3, and then kill us, right? So that's a bit of a problem, because with what we have currently, we are basically 100% dead. Now, the other issue is that we can't even kill our own creatures, right? Because if we weren't going to kill them, we would have to do so before the end step. And since our top card's a counterspell, we know for a fact we're not going to draw a removal spell or like a bound spell or anything. So we're gonna have a creature play no matter what at the end of it. You know, if we kill one altar, we're still gonna have an altar, right? So what do we do? How do we get out of this, seemingly difficult, if not impossible situation? Well, that's where the trick comes up. Alright, so if you want to think about it, you can pause the video and think about it, but I'll spoil it now. It involves Ninja of the Deep Hours, right? That's sort of the main point of the video. And it specifically involves the ninjutsu mechanic and how it works. So if you look at it, it says you have to pay 1 generic and 1 blue mana, as well as return an unblocked attacker to your hand. Right, and then there's a semicolon at the end of it, right? I'll pull it up here just to make it more obvious, right? You have to pay 1 generic, 1 blue, return an unblocked attacker you control to hand, semicolon. Right, all of that before the semicolon is part of the cost. Right, so not only do you have to pay 1 generic and 1 blue, but you also have to return an unblocked creature to hand. Right, so here's the trick. What you do is you attack, so you go to attackers, right? You attack with both altars, okay? If your opponent's smart, you're gonna let it happen, because otherwise they'll lose the pestilence, right? So they'll attack, and they'll say, okay, fine, and then they go to blockers. Then, what you do is you say, okay, before damage, right, they're not blocked. I'm gonna hold priority and activate Ninja, so I have to return that as part of the cost, and Ninjutsu Traitor is on the stat. However, before it resolves, I'm going to pay it again. I'm going to do it a second time, and return the other altar to my hand. So now the first traitor resolves, and it puts the ninja into play, and the second traitor will basically fizzle because you already put it into play. Right, and then comes damage, right? They might kill the ninja in response, although they probably don't want to do that, because then they'll lose their pestilence, so they'll probably let it through. Right, so then you draw the counter spell, you go to your second main, and then you surround your own ninja. So now, it goes to the end step, right? This will trigger, so in response, they'll have to activate it for 7. But then it dies, because it's the beginning of the end step and there's no creatures in play. And here's the best part. You have counter spell up to deal with any potential play from your opponent. And for the following turns, you can play an altar to try and draw some cards. Maybe find another counter spell, maybe find a hand trip, maybe find a removal spell, right? You have 2 altars for it as well, so you get double the value. And you also remove the pestilence. So that's a pretty powerful play, right? It's kind of counterintuitive because you aren't healing your own creature, but at the same time, it sort of makes up for it because you have to return 2 creatures and get, 2 ETB creatures off the altars. So that allows you to sort of stay alive and fight through their hate. I'm going to demonstrate this on Magic Online real quick. I have a mono blue Delminet real quick. I kind of built it really quickly. It's not, very tuned or anything like that. I'm going to try and set this up real quick. Hopefully I can find lands and stuff like that. Okay, so there's a ninja. Now we really only have to find lands. I'm not going to play Delmers because they're going to traitor a lot, and that's not super fun. I just want to kind of get to the point already. We have yet to find a land, so hopefully we can find one soon. But I do want to kind of demonstrate this on Magic Online, just to make it a little bit easier. Just want to illustrate, because there is a pretty big trick that you have to know how to do if you want to do it properly. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so basically how it works is this. So you go to your beginning of combat, and then you attack with your creatures. Then, when it's blockers, right, they haven't been blocked, you have to hold down control. Right, now I'm going to make it very clear. I'm going to put this ninja over here, and this ninja over here. And I'm only going to do it with this ninja, just to kind of demonstrate it, right? So I'm holding down control, and I'm going to ninja. Now notice, it hasn't been put into play because I'm holding control, right? That means I'm holding priority, I'm not passing priority. Then I do it again, returning that fairy, right? So notice, I have to return it as part of the cost, right? And so now, the first one resolves, putting in that ninja, and the second one, well, it fizzles because it's already in play. So you have to return 2 creatures with 1 ninja, right? And you can do it and return more creatures if you have the mana to do so. But that's a pretty powerful play, and it's definitely a powerful engine. I also want to show another trick. I might as well do it on Magic Online while I am able to. And, I'm gonna just run out my creatures here real quick. Delver's going to be very annoying. Thankfully they flipped here. But I just want to show a really neat trick that you can do with perfect. That's just what I wanted to see. There's a really cool trick you can do with ninjas and fairies, and I thought I would show it real quick. So let's say my opponent has a I'm gonna play a spell center here, and then I'll play the other spell center, right? Let's pretend my opponent has the card Circle of Protection Blue, right? I'm going to pull it up for those who are unaware of that card. So Circle of Protection Blue, right? Let's get the preview pane here. So this is an enchantment that says you can pay 1 generic mana to prevent the damage that the next blue source would deal. So if they have a COP blue in play, right? Let's ignore this for a second, right? Let's say they have that in play, and let's say they're also on Tron, right? And they have a ton of mana, right? That's a big issue because I can't really deal them any damage, and they'll eventually be able to, establish a lock of some sort, right? They'll eventually get the Mnemonic Wall in play, and eventually grind me out, okay? Now, let's say that I'm also looking for the card Echoing Truth, right? Let's pretend that I have an out, right? I have the card Echoing Truth in my main board, right? So this is the card, let's roll it up real quick. So this lets me return a non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name to their hand, right? So I'm trying to find that card to return the COP blue to their hand, okay? Yeah, so that way I can actually deal damage and close out this game. However, the problem is that until I find that card, I'm hoping to, find some way to prevent them from, getting a hold of the game. Because currently in the hypothetical situation, COP Blue is preventing me from dealing them any damage. And because they have Tron lands, it's not really costing them that much mana. They can tap, 3 Urza's Towers and prevent all the damage that I might do. And so then with the rest of their mana, they might be able to start playing Mold Rippers and Mnemonic Walls and, cast Pyroblasts and stuff like that. and eventually they'll be able to flicker lock me and get the Roma Horn playing and basically win the game on the spot. And so they have inevitability at the moment, and I'm hoping to draw my one of. Now, here's another trait you can do, right? We've established that there's a pretty cool lot you can do, and I'm going to show it real quick. Well, let's pretend I attack with everything. I don't want to, kill myself and have to set this up again, but pretend I'm attacking with everything, right? What you can do here, right, is if I'm attacking with everything, they're going to prevent all the damage. Then what you can do is this. You can hold control, and then you can ninja a ninja, right? So then you can swap back and forth with two ninjas and try and exhaust them on their mana to eventually get damage with that. That's one thing you can do. But another thing you can do is you can ninja your own ninja and then ninja a spell center, okay? Oh, whoops. My bad. I didn't mean to do. I think I might have clicked on the wrong ninja. I will try and set that up real quick. I'm gonna write that wrong in a moment. Apologies for that. Yeah, I think I clicked on the wrong ninja there, right? So let's map it up, right? I ninja and I return the original ninja and the spell center that was in play, right? So now what happens is I return, I use the ninja to return a ninja and a spell center, right? We can ignore everything else. Let's say my opponent plays a Mold Drifter. I can play a spell center and counterspell that Drifter, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fairies, right? And then the next turn, when I attack, I can do it all again. So I hold control, I ninja my ninja, and then I ninja my spell center. And it doesn't matter that they're preventing the damage because I have infinite spell centers. Right, so every turn I'm going to have a counterspell, no matter what they do. And so this basically forces them into a spot where if they want to get ahead at any capacity, they have to basically build up their entire hand and try and jam it all through. And if they also have to deal with my board, that's going to be difficult, right? And this is how I now have inevitability, right? Before it was looking kind of grim, right? Because nothing I did would matter. But now, the fact that I have infinite counterspells with spell centers, right, is a really big deal. Because it's now putting my opponent in a very difficult spot. And I had this come up where I was able to just, spell center forever, and my opponent could not get anything through, and they got to a spot where they were no longer able to actually win the game. And then I eventually did find my echoing truth, and I was able to close out the game pretty quickly. Not to mention what you can do later on is you can just ninja multiple spell centers to your hand if you have the mana to do so, and then you have multiple spell centers with cards like Modifier or Pyroblast or Prohibit or anything they might have that you care about, and you can just keep buybacking them every single turn and generating a ton of value. And there's lots of different tricks you can do with Ninja. For example, if I'm attacking with multiple fairy miscreants, right, I can Ninja one and then Ninja the other, and then replay them and draw 2 extra cards, right? One out this one and one out that one, right? Provided I have the third one in play. And so that way I'm getting an extra card as opposed to if I only return one, and leave the other 2 in play, I'd only draw 1 card as opposed to 2. Another really cool trait is if I'm attacking with, say, an Altar Bolas and a Spell Center Sprite, and my opponent has no cards in hand and no cards in play, or no creatures in play rather, instead of having to choose between the two, I can ninja both of them. So then that way I can replay Altar and draw a card off that, and then I can also replay, bounce Spell Center and replay it later on when I want to counterspell something that's meaningful. So that's really powerful as well. Another trick, and this I learned from James B. He's a really good Delbert player. Is that with Phantom Seer, what you can do is you can loop Phantom Seers as well. So what you can do is if you have 2 ninjas, what you can do is you'll ninja the Phantom Seer, you'll replay it, right? And then, you can morph it over to, bounce some islands to hand and draw some cards. And then you can ninja again, returning ninja and the Phantom Seer and do it all over again. So then you basically have infinite gushes. And if you have a Mystic Sanctuary in the mix, with cards like the Prime, it can become even more obnoxious as well. So there's so many different cool loops you can do with, ninjas returning ninjas and, holding priority and stuff like that. And I think it's a really powerful option that I've seen people just not utilize before. I've actually had games where had my opponent known about it, they could have won, but because they didn't, I was able to win a game that I probably shouldn't have. So I think it's a really powerful trick that people just they don't, look into, or maybe they just don't know about it. So I'm hoping this video can help kind of shed some light on the power of Ninja and this particular trick. It doesn't come up much, but when it does, it can be backbreaking. So that's sort of the trick in a nutshell. I'll try and continue this series with other cards that I find. Um, But yeah, the first one's gonna be a ninja. I think the card's really, really powerful, and it's certainly something to keep an eye on. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.